Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is May 12, 2023, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of today, Bitcoin breaking support at 27K. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So at 4 p.m. South African time, we have a U of M, University of Michigan, consumer confidence number coming out. Now, this number, believe it or not, is just as important as all the major numbers that come out of the United States. So you do want to know that it's coming out because it may shake and rattle the markets. And looking at the market, starting out with the Forex symbols, the British pound tumbles after that rate decision at resistance. And looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, both unchanged. Looking at commodities, gold and oil trickle lower. While when we look at the stocks, Google has a gap up. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin breaking support as we mentioned. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're going to take a look at the Euro USD and let's draw the trend line and let's see where we're at. So that's your trend line and we pretty much broke it. Okay. So for all intents and purposes, although it was in a little bit more of a angle on the upside, we did break it this morning. Okay, so this is really important because once this is broken, that means it could challenge us further on the downside. Now, we're looking at a 4-hour chart. Let's look at a daily chart of the GBP USD. Now, this is quite clearer that we have broken that momentum on the upside. However, doesn't mean that we're going to go trade back to 119 or 108. We are trading at 125, which is a decent ascent for where the GBP was this past year. However, I do believe that we haven't reached that 30-day moving average, which is the blue line that you could see right there. So as long as we bounce off of it, we could just find ourselves trading in a new range. But it's got to prove itself, okay? It is in a support-ish area right here, okay? I don't want to say like there's not definitive area that it's support, but this is a support-ish area. So I would imagine that it's going to bounce off of it. So keep an eye on this. I mean, it's not going to break out higher, but it may just bounce off of these highs, okay, off of these lows, excuse me, of 125-ish level, and then bounce back to 126, at least in the interim, until we find some sort of else. Now, looking at the Euro USD, also a little bit lower on a daily chart. Again, it's just trickled lower, not much of a trade. It did cross over the two moving averages. The euro was weaker versus the dollar vis-a-vis the GBP. That wasn't as weaker as the dollar, so keep that in mind. Now, if we look at the commodities, looking at gold, we did retrace here to 209, okay, trickling lower. So did crude oil to $70 a barrel as well. Now, it hasn't become interesting yet, okay? It's really got to topple over, but you know, in the anticipation it's going to bounce off of these areas, this may be kind of interesting in terms of a possible bottom range kind of buying, okay? Now jumping into the US markets, all right? Here we go. Dow Jones trading at 33,400. Again, just trading sideways. For all intents and purposes, we're off of our highs about 600 to 700 points, but what's the catalyst to take us higher? Okay, we're past the CPI, we're past the FOMC, we're also past all the minefield of the stocks coming out with their quarterly earning reports. And yes, there was a disappointing report from Disney yesterday, so the markets did sell off. But we're kind of like in a place where we're stagflation. We're not growing, we're not going lower, everything is just stagnant, okay? So that's a good thing, and that's also not a good thing. The good thing is that we're not going lower and people are not losing their jobs, but at the same point, we're not expanding either. We're just trading sideways, at least for now. Now, jumping into the stocks, this is where it's going to get kind of interesting because if we look at Google, Google had a big gap up yesterday, a gap and go. If we look at a 4-hour chart, that's a nice, you know, breakout. Okay, and this may be the catalyst that's going to start the NASDAQ higher. Because if we look at the NASDAQ, it's trading at 13,473 and steady. It's stubborn. It's stubbornly making these highs. And I'm just going to anticipate maybe if we have enough of a catalyst, something to pull us higher, we're going to shoot up even more. So keep that in mind. Now looking at the individual stocks, Apple traded back at 173, a nice recovery. Facebook did trade back a little bit, but gave back its gains. We went to 237, then retraced to 235. So not much doing there. But my point of interest is Google, because if Google's going to carry us higher, that's going to be something as well. Now, Microsoft has really just consolidated in this area, not done much. Lastly, looking at Bitcoin, breaking that 27,000 support. Now we're trading at 26,600-ish level, 200-ish level as we're making lower lows here. This is important because the next real support level is somewhere about 25K. So if this continues selling off, we can continue going to that spot. Now that would be my next possible support level, and my resistance is at 27,000 now. My support becomes my resistance in the following so keep an eye on this. I mean, this is still unfolding. Bitcoin is not going anywhere. It's going to come back. Just a matter of how it comes back, when it comes back, and how far it comes back. That's the most important elements of it. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish everybody a great trading day and a beautiful weekend. Thank you.